Hello, Luca Devoti.
Yes, Mikael. Thank you for calling.
Yes, I'm going to interview you for the Norwegian magazine SEILmagasinet, because you have now stepped forward to be an official candidate for vice presidency of World Sailing.
Aspiring candidate still, because they have to open up the procedures for the M&As to nominate the candidate.
Right. And you are one of the three candidates from Italy. Is it going to be chaos, or is it a good thing that Italy have so many talented administrators?
I mean, it's an interesting time, and there is a lot of change and difficulties, and it is good that successful people offer their services to the organization, and the M&As will decide how to compose a board so that it is best suited to lead the sport forward. So I think it's good to have various candidates and different experiences, and people willing to offer their time, because it's a hard job to be a volunteer and help sailing.
Yes. Luca, a little bit about yourself. You are 57 years old. You are Italian by native, but you live in Spain. You have lived in Spain since 2005, where you have been a coach for international sailors, and your sailing background is also very successful. You won an Olympic silver medal in the Finn class in Sydney in 2000. You skippered an Italian America's Cup boat
That was actually what took me to Valencia, the 2007 America's Cup. So the team moved from Sicily to Valencia in 2005, and I just love the city and the sea here, and I just stayed here like very many other team members of that America's Cup. It's a wonderful spot, central, and it was a life decision, and I'm here. So I'm a Spaniard by adoption, basically.
Yeah, but you still own a famous boat production company in Poland.
Yes,
you are the president.
Yes, I am the president of Devoti Sailing. My partner is the CEO, Roman Tepli from Czech Republic, and we have been building boats there since 2003. The company previously was established in England, in Burnham on Crouch.
You are especially famous today for building good fin dinghies. And
yeah, but we build also Optimist and other boats. So we build Melgas 24s. Now we build a keelboat called Lago 26, a very nice boat. And yeah, I mean we do what we love, which is building boats and being connected to the sport.
And you were also a contender for the single-handed dinghy for the next Olympics in the competition that was organized by World Sailing to perhaps replace the laser class.
Yeah, we presented a D0, quite innovative little boat, but at the end World Sailing chose to maintain the laser, and I think they did the right thing, because it's such a widespread class, and we need universality in the sport, and starting, especially after the pandemic, it would have been wrong to change. Absolutely, but they did the right thing, and the laser is now an open builder class and will thrive in the future. So there we have a solid part of our sport that will help promoting the growth of the sport in the future.
But being a prominent boat builder and a possible vice president of World Sailing, people might say that there's a potential conflict of interest there. What would you say to that?
Yeah, it is true. But we are such a small world, and we want successful people in the board, bring in their knowledge and their expertise, and to tackle conflict of interest, the best medicine is transparency. Everybody knows that I have a yacht. I mean, it carries my name. The accounts are public, and we just have to respect the rules and regulations that World Sailing has, and even maybe implement a committee to monitor the respect of the conflict of interest policies, and therefore handle this issue, which is very important. I mean, every candidate has to understand that once he gets up there, he's doing it for the sailors and for sailing, and not for himself. And we have to be very ethically strict on this. And I fully support a thorough implementation of the conflict of interest policy, and I think it will be no problem.
One of the points in your program is that you want to fight the monopoly of building Olympic-class boats.
I mean, I did my bit, and World Sailing has adopted an antitrust policy, which is very good, and things are going in that direction. So there is no need for fight anymore, and yeah, I mean, it's good for the sport that the universal boats can be built everywhere, and this is gonna favor the birth of national industries and sail makers and mast makers, and relaunch the sport, because a lot of these builders were sailors before. They actually do it because of their passion, and so they accept to work for small margins just to be part of this wonderful sport, and we are on the right track, and we have to just implement that. So it's actually good and promising for the future.
To which extent do you think that the organizer of the Olympic Games should provide boats for the teams?
They do in some classes. Actually, the first time I got involved while being a boat builder and an athlete with the Olympics was '96, and even the fins there were provided. And I was an athlete, and at that time were the lasers provided, and the windsurf has always been provided. I don't know in these games in Tokyo, but in general terms, provided but is good for sure for the universal classes. When you go to then more developed and advanced classes, well, that is up for discussion, because preparing the boat is part of your knowledge to become an Olympic champion, and if it's done within the rules, there's nothing wrong with that. But at least universal classes should be provided, and actually for the future I hope that we will be able to have hubs where we race from, and we will be able to provide boats for emerging nations, lasers for sure, and boards, and whatever we can provide to make it easier for these countries to attend major events, because this is what we need to do to make sure that everybody can come and race wherever these main regattas will be. So I think there is one part of our classes, the universal classes, where we really must be innovative and try to make it as easy as possible for emerging nations to come and sail.
As a sailor, you have experience from every type of sailing, from lasers to international America's Cup yachts. Do you think that all boats in the Olympics should be extremely athletic, or is there room for keel boats that attracts all the values?
For sure, we should try to be attracting as many different kind of sailors as we can. But at the end of the day, especially at the Olympic level, the commitment has to be so important that it makes no difference one boat or the other one. It's always the maximum you can do, and I am quite focused on the people. Like Ben Ainsley is Ben Ainsley. If he sails a laser, if he sails a fin, if he sails a foiling America's Cup boat, it's the human being, the personality, the charisma that he's got, the capability of running a team that is fascinating. I mean, sadly enough, with the reduction of number of athletes, we cannot bring really team boats in. That's a very interesting part of our sport, and we are we are being kind of led towards more and more individual sports, because otherwise we will not have enough nations taking part, and we will limit a lot the attendance to the games. But sailing has all these possibilities between offshore and America's Cup and the Olympics and so on and so forth. So I think it's actually a well-structured sport that just needs to be led further in order to favor inclusion. You know, I have had quite a lot of input in my campaign right now, and one very interesting guy, a disabled sailor from the UK, Ian Willie, he took the time and wrote some proposal to get disabled sailors to have the pleasure of going offshore sailing on big boats. So I think that's very important. I'll bring that issue forward. And we have such a wonderful sport, and we can only thrive and grow. And I can see that now, after everybody had to be locked down in Spain, you go to the yacht club and it's full of people, and they're all going sailing. And this is what we have to bank on for the future. So I'm very positive for what we can do in the future.
What do you think about the double-handed mixed offshore event in Paris?
Well, it's an interesting concept. Even though so far no real regatta has ever happened, and there are some practical difficulties in having the fleets of boats that we can charter around the world. From the list of boats that they propose, only the Luca 30 by Rodion Luca is actually trailerable. I think that being trailerable is a very important part of the qualities of the equipment that we'll end up using, because they reduce dramatically the cost of moving around. I don't know if after all these difficulties that the pandemic is bringing, this is going to be easily implementable, because the reality of the financial situations of the M&A is sometimes dramatic. So we'll have to see. But thank God that the IOC has decided that they will finalize events and equipment in December this year. So the new board will just be there and will do their best to make work whatever will be decided by the IOC. So we are not losing one more year there because of the delay of the Olympics. So we will see what the IOC decides and try to make work whatever we have. Anchoring the thinking reality is very important. Some very, very respectful and important technical directors from major federation I've been talking to, and they're sincerely worried about the escalating cost and so on. So we'll have to make some considerations there. But as I say, the decision will be taken, and then we'll do the best for the sport that we can.
I was talking to Gary Jobson about a week ago, and he was very positive about this mixed event. He said that the boats will be provided by the organization for the 2024 Olympics, 20 boats. Is that realistic, that 20 boats can be provided for charter or from a boat builder?
Well, it depends on the size of the builder. I mean, for very big ones, it might even be possible. The difficulty there is that if we will get reduced in number of athletes, having so many double-handed events will reduce the number of M&As that will take part, and this is a consideration that we have to have in our mind. In my vision, the sport has to be inclusive, and we must favor as many emerging nations as we can, so that they can take actually part in the Olympics, and their transfer of technology, transfer of best practices to get them up to speed is key. So if it is true that it will take us down to 350 athletes, well, with 20 participants per event, we'll have 20 lasers and we'll have 20 boards. And I think that's not good for the sport. We need, at least in these universal classes, very many more places. So this is something that we will have to discuss with IOC and see how to implement whatever they decide in the best way possible. But I am particularly passionate about having as many nations as possible taking part in the Olympics. I think that's key, and it makes our sport great. So that's the prime focus, is always the people, the sailors.
There's also a governance reform on the paper. Will you favor new council, which is divided into two, one for the Olympics program and one for the others?
Well, the new governance is a long and thought through document. I mean, the problem is it has been rejected by 36% of the MNAs, I think, in the last vote, and it needs 75% majority to be passed. I don't think it will be presented before the elections. It will be for the new board to see what is good and what is not good in the proposal and what to implement or not. But right now we are with the old governance model. And, you know, as I say, I'm always focused on people. And, yeah, governance models are an important part of the life of an organization. But the quality and the ethics and the level and the competence of the people that are in the board and in the council are key. And this is where I hope that federations will take their time and will propose people. And this is why I think as many competent guys that propose themselves, that's only a good sign for our organization. If you're able to select a very competent board, well, even with the old governance, it will do an excellent job. And so I don't see now the governance as the key issue, but finding the right people for the committees and for everything is key to tackle this very, very challenging times that we have now, where we will have to be extremely flexible and adapt our actions to a changing landscape. And we don't even know if we'll have the Olympic Games next year, and that will affect greatly our money available to the organization. So we will have to be really alert and flexible and see what we can do with whatever we will be given. But I'm sure there are very good people that are candidating, and I talk to most of them, if not all of them, and I'm sure that sailing will be able to go forward and tackle these difficulties that it's had in recent years.
You're talking about the Olympic Games 2021. We see today in the web page for Inside the Games that there is the candidate for the more left-wing elections for the governor of Tokyo, Mr. Yamamoto. If he is selected, he's going to cancel the 2021 Olympics. So you have some thoughts about that? It is a possibility that some radical thinking comes about. This pandemic has tested all of us, and I see that with the athletes now going back at sea, that they get injured easily, and we all have to take a deep breath and do things slowly and get back into a normal life. And it's not over in a lot of parts of the world. So even though I'm hopeful and positive that the medical situation will be gone, the economical consequences of what we have had might still be there, and so. Yeah, we don't know, but I am hopeful that we will have the Olympics, and it would be such a great sign for the entire world and the world of sport, especially that we are there again, and the beauty and the magic of the Olympics, which is incredibly important for all our young athletes. But we have to remember, sailing is not only the Olympics. We have the America's Cup next year, and thank God. The New Zealand government lets the team into their country, so we will have an America's Cup, and hopefully 2021 SailGP will restart, and then we have the Star Sailors League. So a lot of events that are going to mark this going back. But right now, the reality is everybody's canceling all events. Youth Worlds, Sailing Class canceling all season, and this is the situation we're now in. So it is a very difficult time for athletes to see what they do, to see how they train, to find resources to continue doing what they love, which is sailing, and with all the uncertainties that we have. But it will go forward, and then when we're out at sea, when we finally go out there after the lockdown, it was fantastic. I mean, and we appreciated what we do even more. So I'm very positive that. I think we'll have Olympics, and if not, we can create a great event. Tell me a little more about your thoughts of such an event, an alternative Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, if for any reason, medical reasons or political reasons, the games will not be staged in 2021, the IOC has already said that there will be no further delay. But we've had people committing their lives and their passions for years to do the games. So I think we should organize the World Sailing Games, and there are a lot of places all over the world that could be suitable for that with a minimalistic investment, if any. So it would be great to have that. I would invite even other classes like the Melgas, the Chick 70, the floating mods, the kites men and female, to have a real great event that we can all be proud and that marks the renaissance of sailing after these very incredible times that we have never experienced in our life before. And I think that's a very feasible project, and we might even be able to discuss with the IOC if we can award medals or not, or special medals or whatever. But the sport has to go forward, and life goes forward in every sector, and sport is one and a very important part of that. So I am very passionate of having an alternative, even though I think we will have games, and we have to do everything possible to have the games in Japan.
There's another matter which I know you are engaged with, and that is to reinstate sailing as a part of Paralympic Games.
Yes, I think as I say, my vision is about people and inclusion, and the Paralympics. When you read the website of the IPC, it's all about inclusion. I cannot believe that an organization that is about inclusion excludes our fellow Paralympic sailors. And we had a very direct contact here in Valencia, where I coach my athletes from all over the world, because the Spanish Paralympic team was there. And we became great friends, and after some time, we were used to each other, and we'd grill and have a drink together and laugh and help us at sea if there was any problem or strong winds. And so this inclusion is key, and we have great representatives like Lars Grael of Paralympic sport, and we have to do everything possible so that they are part of our sport, and that's something that I will try to bring forward if I get elected.
It is a question of number of participants and number of countries being represented. I think if you look at the 2.4 class, it's sufficient number of nations that could defend such a class in the Paralympics. But the sonar was not a great success. You had 8 or 10 or 12 boats in the class, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean it is all these sports, they use equipment and it's expensive. We have to remember we have had a crisis since 2007. Are difficult to bring forward, and this is why we have to try to get some stability, try to achieve inexpensive equipment, and promote the values of our sport. And through our network of yacht clubs, of M&As, of classes, we have to make sure that the inclusion is a very important part of what we do. And if we do that, we will be successful, and we'll have enough nations, and we'll gather the support to get reinstated. It's a difficult part, but we can do it, and it's such a sailing was part of the first Paralympics in 1960. 5 sports were there, and sailing was there. Sailing has been part in the Olympics since the very beginning. So we are part of the history of this event, and we have to stay there, and that's what the board has to be engaged with, and work towards, inclusion, and then more countries and developing programs to make sure that we have more nations taking part and enjoying our sport. Because it's not only about the sport; it's the message it gives, it's the culture it forms, it's the fact that it selects decision makers. Because our sport is always about taking decisions. It's the fact that it's intellectually elitist, but it's not about your senses. So anyone can get to know anyone in sailing as long as he loves the sport. And I think our values are so strong that we have to bank on them and go towards a bright future.
Luca, is there anything else, another message you would like to bring across to our readers before the elections?
No, but I always have in mind my Ukrainian coach, Valentin Monken. He was a fantastic man, and when I had my downs in my career or personally, he was always coming to me and saying, the sun will shine back in your home. And I think this is what is going to happen to sailing also, and to any athlete that now is a little bit lost and doesn't know if the Olympics are going to happen or not, if his federation is going to support him or not, and even, you know, the guys from the TP52, they don't know if they will race or not, and the big boats. I mean, it will go back to normal, and it will be a great future because we have a wonderful sport, and the sea and the nature is so fantastic that actually once you're a sailor all your life long, and this is why we all are involved, and I think you also, and this is why we do it, and I am positive that we will manage to overcome any difficulty and make our sport great. I'm sure about that. That's been all my life, and that's what I intend to do if ever I get elected, and even if I'm not elected, I'll continue doing that.
I will let these wise words end our very interesting conversation. Thank you very much, Luca, for taking your time to talk to me, and good luck with your elections.
Thank you very much, Mikkel, and anything you can always call me.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.